James was an ordinary man living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. However, recently, he had been confronted with a strange situation that troubled him. Every night, he would wake up in a sleepwalking state, wandering around the city. The boundaries between the reality he experienced when awake and the world in his dreams were becoming blurred. The events usually began like a nightmare. When James drifted into a deep sleep, the warmth of his home's bed, suddenly, he would be drawn into the strange world of his dreams. One sleepless night, when his eyes opened abruptly, he found himself in his backyard. However, this backyard was very different from the world of his dreams. His eyes had turned into a vast park area, under the dark sky. The sounds of strange beings echoed. These beings resembled the city's residents, but their faces were expressionless, and their eyes were vacant. James tried to escape from these frightening creatures as he ran along the city streets. These dreamlike adventures repeated every night, and each time, James experienced more horrifying events in the city. The thin line between his sleep and reality left him in fear and anxiety. James now wanted the sleepless nights to come to an end, and for these nightmares to stop. However, to understand what the strange beings roaming the city and the bizarre events meant, he had to unravel the connection between reality and dreams. This terrifying adventure marked the beginning of James' journey to understand the boundaries between his sleep and reality and to solve the mystery in the city. Would the sleepless nights come to an end, or would these nightmares continue to haunt him? James was struggling to unravel the terrifying secret of the sleepless nights. The nightmares he experienced, as in the first part, had now started to affect his daily life. In the second part, James was determined to explore the reason behind these strange occurrences and the connection between his sleep and reality further. As James roamed the city in a sleepwalking state, he began to explore different areas each night. He tried to trace the footsteps of the strange beings and bizarre events. One night, waking up in a large old factory, he decided to delve deeper into this mysterious world. Inside the factory, he found traces of the strange creatures wandering about like ghosts. Most of them acted as if they didn't see him, but some stared at him with their empty eyes, sending shivers down James' spine. When James reached the top floor of the factory, he witnessed a bizarre ritual behind a large door. The entities were surrounded by figures with some form of symbolism. However, he couldn't fully grasp its meaning. This ritual seemed to be a part of the strange events in the city. The connection between the nightmares he experienced during sleepless nights and real life was becoming increasingly complex. James continued to search for more clues to understand the meaning of this strange world and to put an end to his sleepless nightmares. However, as he gathered more information each night, he was also confronted with more fear and uncertainty. His adventures during the sleepless nights seemed to be beyond his control now. James had to ask more questions to be able to solve this mystery. In the third chapter, James would continue to push the boundaries between the reality of sleepless nights and dreams, and take further steps to unravel this terrifying secret. However, where these steps would lead to was unknown. James was persistently trying to solve the terrifying secret of the sleepless nights. The connection between the nightmares he experienced during sleep and real life was becoming increasingly complex. In the third chapter, James was determined to delve even deeper into the mysteries of this strange world. One night, James found himself sleeplessly in the middle of an old cemetery in the city. The tombstones began to capture his attention. Some of them had strange symbols and names on them. While James tried to decipher the meaning of these symbols and names, a strange entity approached. This entity was different from the creatures he had seen in his previous dreams. It was larger and appeared more menacing. James attempted to communicate with this entity, but it spoke in a language he couldn't understand. The entity led him to a distant place. In his sleepless state, James and the entity entered a cave. The cave was dark and eerie. The walls were adorned with strange symbols and paintings once again. James tried to decipher the meaning of these symbols, but was met with no success. As they ventured deeper into the cave, James encountered more mysteries. The entity told him it would help him trace the events of the past and the dark secrets of the city. However, this assistance indicated that he needed to delve even deeper. The connection between the nightmares he experienced during sleepless nights, and reality was becoming increasingly complex and convoluted. James had to take more steps to understand the meaning of this strange world and why it haunted him. However, with each step, more uncertainty and fear emerged. James had to continue confronting this strange world, uncovering more secrets to put an end to his sleepless nightmares. But where would the end of this journey lead remained unknown. James was battling insomnia to solve the mystery of sleepless nights, the thin line between the nightmares he experienced every night and reality was becoming increasingly complex. In the 4th chapter, James was determined to put more effort into unraveling this mystery and ending his insomnia nightmares. The strange entity he had met in the previous chapter offered him further assistance in explaining the dark secrets of the city. James, accepting this help, decided to descend into the strange world beneath the city alongside the entity. The place they descended into resembled a complex labyrinth, filled with underground tunnels and passages. Once again, there were strange symbols and paintings on the walls. James tried to decipher the meaning of these symbols, but still couldn't reach a conclusion. The entity guided him to trace the traces of the strange events that had occurred in the city's past. As James uncovered more secrets in each passage and tunnel, he realized that the mysteries in the city were becoming more complex and eerie. One night, James and the entity found themselves in front of a colossal monument in the center of the city. The symbols on the monument were starting to look familiar to James. However, he still couldn't understand what the monument represented. The entity began to narrate the history of the monument and the hidden story in the city. James began to understand how the dark events in the city's past were reflected in the truths behind this monument. However, these truths would confront him with more fear and uncertainty. The connection between the nightmares he experienced during sleepless nights and reality was becoming increasingly complicated. James needed more information to solve the mysteries of this strange world and put an end to his insomnia nightmares. However, this journey was drawing him into more danger and the unknown. James had come to the final chapter in his quest to solve the mystery of sleepless nights and put an end to his battle against insomnia nightmares. In the 4th chapter, as he explored the labyrinthine tunnels and monuments beneath the city, he uncovered more and more truths. In the 5th and final chapter, we will witness the consequences of this terrifying tale. James had been tracing the strange events in the city and was finally approaching a solution to the mystery of the monument. The monument represented a tragedy from the city's past. It was this tragedy that served as the source of his nightmares during sleepless nights. The entity explained to James that the ghosts of the past still roamed this city, and the key to releasing them lay in unraveling this mystery. James accepted this responsibility and decided to work alongside the entity to save the city. One night, James and the entity gathered in a room beneath the monument. In the center of the room was a stone surrounded by strange symbols. The entity encouraged James to climb onto this stone, and James prepared to fulfill this task. As he climbed onto the stone, suddenly, all the strange events and nightmares from the city flashed before his eyes. As he wandered amidst the ghosts of the past and the city's secrets, James came to a deeper understanding of these horrifying truths. In the end, James grasped the underlying truth behind the city's strange events and nightmares. The city bore the traces of tragedies from the past, and these traces were being reanimated in his sleepless nights. However, this knowledge was the key to saving the city and releasing the ghosts of the past. With this knowledge, James decided to save the city and took action alongside the entity. They did everything in their power to end the chaos caused by the nightmares he experienced during sleepless nights. Finally, the nightmares in the city came to an end, and the ghosts of the past were set free. James breathed a sigh of relief at the end of this long and terrifying journey. The nightmares from his sleepless nights no longer troubled him. This chilling tale recounts a man's journey to uncover the truth behind the nightmares he experienced during sleepless nights. Through his courage and determination, James saved the city and put an end to his nightmares. The secret of insomnia had finally been unraveled, and James could now sleep peacefully.